Which statement regarding blunt thoracic trauma is not true? The tricep wall is the most commonly injured wall, and blunt thoracic trauma is not true that the tricep wall is the most commonly injured wall. Question: you note a tendon which is swollen and contains unusually high signal located immediately posterior to tendon of tibialis posterior. How you diagnose tendonitis of flexor digitum longus? The immediately posterior to the tendon of tibialis posterior is flexor digitum longus, and if it has high signal, then it will be tendonitis of flexor digitum longus posterior to tibialis posterior. When air transaction of the distal pancreas with free fluid and peripancreatic space, what is grade injury? Grade 1. Transaction of distal endopancreas with free fluid in the peripancreatic space, grade injury is grade 1. 29. An oblique fibular fracture through the tibial fibular syndesmosis, which Weber category does this represent? B. 28, 29. Pancreatic grade injuries. Grade 1 is a minor contusion superior laceration. Grade 2 injury is major contusion laceration without duct injury. Grade 3 is injury distal transaction involving the duct. So it is pancreatic grade 1 injury because it does not involve the duct. Now question number 29. Weber classification is based on the location of the distal fiber fracture related to the tibial talar joint. Type A is the transverse fracture distal to the ankle joint. Type B is oblique fracture, and type C is the fibular fracture. So here they say that type B because it is oblique fracture. Type A is transverse fracture, type B is oblique fracture, and type C is fibular fracture. So Weber category is type B. Oblique fracture, type B. 30. Osteopenia and mild expansion of the middle cavities of the metacarpal and phalanges. Additional atrophy of trabecular and cortical thinning, like diagnosis, thalassemia. Then this is thalassemia, saying from the there will be extramedullary hematopoiesis in thalassemia. So also there will be osteopenia and expansion of middle cavities of all the metacarpal and phalanges. So this shows extramedullary hematopoiesis, and there is atrophy of the trabecular and cortical thinning. So diagnosis, thalassemia. Other options don't make any sense. Correct? Question number 31. 9-year-old elbow. Which visible oscillation centers would have been last to appear? Olecranon. In 9-year-old, so CRITOE, crito. So last in 135791. So she is 9 years old, so 1357 and 9. CRITO 1357, and he's just 9 years old. So CRITO and O is olecranon. So last to be appear is olecranon. 32. Regarding idiopathic sclerosis, which is true. Adolescent idiopathic scoliosis is the commonest form. Adolescent idiopathic scoliosis is the commonest form of idiopathic scoliosis. 33. Injured knee. What is abnormal finding? On lateral view, the distance from the lower pole of the patella to the tibial tubercle is 1.5 times the length of the patella. The injured knee abnormal finding is on lateral view, the distance from the lower pole of the patella to the tibial tubercle is 1.5 times the length of the patella. It's abnormal. Next question number 34. Foot and ankle tenderness after sport injury, which is abnormal finding. Foot and ankle tenderness after sport injury, abnormal finding is the width of the space between the distal tibia and fibula at a point 1 cm from the articular surface is 8 mm. Now 8 mm, remember that the width of the space between distal tibia and fibula at the point 1 cm from articular surface is 8 mm. They are normal. The rest all normal findings. Polar angle is 20 to 40 degrees normal. This is also normal. Abnormal is D. Question number 35. X-ray shows 8 cm lytic lesion within the distal metaphysis with endothelial scalloping and cortical thickening. CT shows metric mineralization. Which fever does not favor diagnosis of chondrosarcoma or enchondroma? The CT findings. CT findings shows metric mineralization. It does not favor chondrosarcoma. Chondrosarcoma shows calcification matrix. 36. AP view shows the common clavicle joint distance of 12 mm and clavicle distance of 10 mm. Clavicle is not gross to space. What grade of acromic clavicle joint injury is? Grade 2. AP view acromic clavicle joint distance of 12 mm and acromic clavicle joint 10 mm. So clavicle is not gross to space. Grade of acromic clavicle joint injury is grade 2. Question 36. These are the grades of acromic clavicle joint injury. One is normally graph, and grade 2 is acromic clavicle distance of greater than 8 to 10 mm. Sacroclavicular distance is 12 mm. And correctoclavicular distance is 10 mm, so less than 12 mm is grade 2. Question number 37. MI of the number spine and threads with reduced signal intensity on T1 and increased signal on T2 was a private diagnosis. Type 1 modic changes. Type 1 modic changes, there are 37 modic changes. Type 1 modic changes are likely to be asymptomatic. Type 1 changes have MI appearances of fluid, lower T1 and high T2. Type 2 changes have the characteristic of fat due to red matter replacement. So, these fluid changes reduced on T1 and high on T2, they like fluids, so type 1 modic changes. Type 2 modic changes will be like fat, high on T1. Question number 38. Fractures across the proximal pole of scaphoid is incorrect. Vertical oblique fracture is considered more stable compared to transverse fracture. Incorrect about scaphoid fracture is vertical oblique fracture is considered more stable than transverse fracture. 39. Regarding giant cell tumor, which is true, vertical body involvement is more common than in posterior elements. In giant cell tumor, vertebral body involvement is more common than in posterior elements. Next question number 40. Suspected transient fracture dislocation. Which feature is expected? Bony contusion of the medial aspect of medial femur condyle. SD is not expected in transient fracture dislocation. There is no bony contusion of the medial aspect of medial femur condyle in transient fracture dislocation. 41. Which feature is more common in rheumatoid arthritis rather than psoriatic arthropathy? Involvement of wrist joint. Involvement of wrist joint is more common in rheumatoid arthritis. 42. Peg's disease. Which is the feature on the active phase of the disease? Osteoporosis circumflecta is seen in Peg's disease. Peg's disease shows osteoporosis circumflecta. 43. Hangman fracture is suspected. Which feature would be unusual with this diagnosis? Posterior subluxation of C2 and C3. In Hangman fracture, there is no posterior subluxation of C2 and C3. In Hangman fracture, I think there's anterior subluxation of C2 and C3. 43. Hangman fracture, anterior rather than posterior subluxation of C2 and C3. Question number 44. Plain films shows the uploaded ossified mass lying posterior to the femur with a connection to the cortex. Center of the lesion is denser than the periphery. MRI shows large associated soft tissue components, likely diagnosed parastitial osteosarcoma. Now, these are signs of syndrome describing parastitial osteosarcoma. The lobulated ossified mass lying posterior to the femur with a connection to the cortex. Connection to the cortex, mass with a connection to the cortex, and then center of the lesion is denser than the periphery. And MRI shows large associated soft tissue component, diagnosis parastitial osteosarcoma. 45. Which feature would be more supportive of pure posterior rather than anterior femur dislocation? Posterior capsule stripping. And pure posterior shoulder joint dislocation, there will be posterior capsule stripping. 46. Which statement with regard to non-accidental injury is incorrect? Metaphyseal corner fractures are the commonest fracture types. And non-accidental injury, metaphyseal corner fracture are not the commonest type, but I think commonest is subdural hematoma. Question number 47. Head and rear of a foot, well-defined 3 cm lesion occurred between the anterior and middle third of the calcaneus. The lesion is radiolucent with a thin rim of sclerosis and central calcification, like diagnosis and intraosseous lipoma. Now, there's a 3 cm lesion in the between the anterior and inside the calcaneum, and then it is radiolucent with a thin rim of sclerosis and central calcification, diagnosis intraosseous lipoma. Question number 48. Regarding osteoblastoma, which is true? Matrix calcification is a common plain film feature. In osteoblastoma, matrix calcification is common in osteoblastoma. Question 49. Pelvic radiograph of a young woman shows bilateral symmetrical triangular areas of subchondral sclerosis on the inferior aspect of the iliac side of the joint. Joint space are normal and joint margins rectify most likely diagnosed osteitis condensus iliac. Now, a pelvic radiograph of a female shows bilateral symmetrical triangular areas of subchondral sclerosis on the interior aspect of the iliac side of the joint. So, interior aspect of the iliac side of the joint, the diagnosis is osteitis condensus iliac. And then point space are also normal and joint margins well defined. So, only the triangular areas of subchondral sclerosis on the interior aspect of the iliac side of the joint is osteochondritis condensus iliac. Question 50. A 30-month-old infant presents with tender heart swelling over a number of months. Radiograph shows a cortical hyperostosis and marked diffuse symmetrical sclerotic reactions of the clavicle, rib, and mandible, most likely diagnosed Capi's disease. Now, 3-month-old infant with heart swelling, tender swellings over a number of months, so this is diagnosed of Capi's disease. Correct?